Hi there, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Beneath the Lift Tower. My name's Charles McGilvray, and as always, I'm joined by Jess Kebble and Simon Stacey. We're a fans podcast by fans for fans of Northampton Saints. How are you both doing?
Thank you.
Yeah, good, but yeah.
Yeah, well, we are recording this episode, slightly late this week, and for personal reasons or whatever. But it puts things into priority, doesn't it? Like it was a bit gutting that result of the weekend, but that puts things into priority. So yeah, gutting's the word, isn't it?
It is, mate. It was, yeah. I said at half time, I just hope they don't take their foot off the gas. And I was like, I hope I didn't jinx them because they clearly did. Because no offence to Exeter, they were awful. And I don't know how we managed to draw that. We were actually lucky to get a draw.
Yeah,
Because
that
they were
forward
all
pass.
over. It's momentum, isn't it? It's momentum. Once they started scoring, that's rugby all over. It's momentum. They scored and scored and scored. There was 2 forward passes in that move anyway. The first one was forward, which they didn't bring back. But yeah, fair play. We both got 3 points. It's not a bad result, but we should have been 5 points. Yeah. Good old Saints only playing 1/2. Going back to last season.
Oh dear. Yeah, frustrating day. I don't really know how to put my finger on why we were so poor in the second half. I do think Exeter turned up a bit more. Like they must have gotten a bit of a talking to at half time. Like I think they definitely stepped up a little bit. But you should learn to expect that. Like in lots of situations, right? You've got a 33-7 at half time, right? We didn't score any points, did we? So we've got like a good, decent 25-point lead, 26-point lead, whatever, maths. And yeah, it's big, it's decent, but always expect that team is going to come back and never go in assuming that you've already won a match. And we seem to not be ready for their reaction, and we did. Maybe we did kind of go in thinking that we'd already got the 5 points and they weren't going to turn up.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are quite a few points really. I mean, first of all, you bang like energy wise, mentally, that seems to still be a fragility within the side. Like they seem to need to be bang up for it and really motivated and have like that bit between their teeth to really perform. So that they come out strong, really looking to set a marker down. They look unbelievable, right? We'll get on to Chiefs maybe in a minute, but right, but they look really, really good. As soon as the edge in the game's gone, because we're so far ahead, that energy, that sort of clinical nature just disappears. And we've had that, last year in some of the games where perhaps they were a bit flat, they weren't necessarily the high profile or the big ticket games, and there didn't seem to be that real bit between the teeth to put performance in. And everything just goes from 11 out of 10 down to 3 very quickly because they seem to really need that emotional buy-in firing for them to perform.
Yeah, it all went
Second,
downhill when it all went downhill when they took your mate off, wasn't it? Old Big Ed Prowse. We brought the big man on and we just didn't use him. He hardly had any massive. He didn't have any space to run into. Whenever he got the ball, it was straight into contact. So he was just brought down.
Yeah, well, I think the problem with the whole thing in the second half was the ability to sort of retain a bit of possession. Yes, you've got to kick the ball, but you've got to kick a lot smarter than we were kicking. Like so, Exeter definitely turned up the heat. There is no doubt about that, right? Their defensive line was completely chalk and cheese. It's almost like they went into the sheds and they said, right, look, we've really gone badly here. Let's correct one thing. That's our line speed. And they came out and their line speed was so much better. They were putting us under more pressure. But we didn't seem to do any form of adaptation. We just expected them. And so, I mean, like, I don't want to blame anyone, and it's a whole team performance, and I wouldn't blame a single individual or anything like that. But I expect better decision making from your halfbacks, right? And young McParland, right? He is gonna be a superstar, right? And he's a youngster, and therefore you're gonna go right. He's learning. He'll learn an awful lot from that game. His box kicking could have been sharper. His decision making could have been better, but that's an experience where he'll come out of it the better for, right? I know that Tony Bellew is new to the league. I know that they do things differently in France. I know we predominantly play off nine anyway, as they do in France. So, you can't sit a lot on him. But I'm also thinking he's an international 10. I want leadership in your attack, leadership in your decision making from him a bit more than what delivered. And I think that'll be an awakening for him. But like I have the impression that if Tom James was at 9, we'd have won that game.
Yeah.
Or if Finn Smith was at 10, we'd have won that game. Because just their nous and decision making, control and management, I think would have made a huge difference. Because yes, the energy dropped and the forwards didn't seem to fire as much, but bloody hell, some of the decision making put us under so much pressure.
Yeah, I also felt like we should have changed the 9. Like I know the 9 on the bench was also young and not as experienced, like with Wyman, but it just it slowed down so dramatically, and you just wanted them to get back to kind of trying to inject a little bit of pace in it somewhere, just. And as I said, the decision making, we went from a first half where we were running the ball from everywhere to just we've got a little bit of a pressure on us, so we need to kick the ball away. I said, but that's not when we play our best rugby. Like we know that. And yeah, it just felt like it slowed down. It felt like you've got this young 9 on the bench, and McParlin was speedy in the everything was speedy in the first half. But it just felt like when it starts to slow down, you needed a little bit of an injection or something. So I felt like it was a shame that Wyman didn't get some time, particularly as Tom James is in a boot. So I'm assuming that he's gone for a while, and we still have what 2 weeks, one or two, at least one game, right? They're back. They can come back
Yeah.
in week 3,
Yeah.
is it? So at least one game where we're not going to have him or Mitchell. So I would have liked to have seen him get a little bit of game time. I get it with 10 because we didn't have a replacement really, did we? I suppose you've got Hutch, but we had to do a lot of moving different people around because obviously we've been we thought we ended the season unlucky last year, and it looks like we're starting it that way. The injury list has just grown since last week because I saw the news on Tuesday, so that's not great. But yeah, they've got to start figuring out at some stage what it is with this just kind of like natural step off that they have, or like lack of ability to keep momentum for a full 80-minute. Because even when Exeter were better, like they were still beatable. Like that's no shade
Oh
on
yeah,
Exeter, like that's no shade on Exeter at all, because like they're both of their wingers are extraordinary players. And when you give Waboso or Bram Bampo the ball, I'm like, oh, here we go. So like, they've got some dangerous players, but they were beatable as a team. And I know people go, it's a draw, it's not a loss, but it's not a loss technically, but it still kind of feels like one. Like if you've got Northampton and you've got Exeter, you've drawn the match at Franklin's Gardens, which team is walking away as if they've won something? It's Exeter, not us.
yeah, yeah. And I think to add Hodgins to that the two you said there, I think their back three is really dangerous. And I don't think, other than the offload through the middle, I don't think any of their tries are really like to some extent. They were like huge errors and huge decision making, or bad options or bad efforts from Saints. Sort of gave them all their points. The first try, the Fairbosa one. I mean, where's the guard? I had called this out at another game last season, right? Not having a guard in place is something that you would be annoyed at under 11s, right? Under 15s, whatever, right? For a professional team, for a forward just to run past the ruck without even considering that there's no guard in place, that's diabolical. Like that's defense 101. Have your guards in place. To have an open door for Fairbosa to walk through is it's just giving them points. The line out, I mean, a non-jump off the top to Vincent. Vincent, and he just walks through. That's 14 points there. Where like what? One of them was a chip through that I can never say his name right. That is in back. Not Fairbosa, the other winger.
Brown Bampo.
Man, Brampo. He that was like a tiny little grubber through that he picked up and ran in. Like, where's the cover? Like, it's
Yeah.
It's
just
crazy.
not good enough. And like you said, it's a shame because the first half they were flying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
It's just
struggle.
shocking.
I struggle to think back to that first half and think of something that we did wrong after the first 10 minutes. Obviously, they scored first, but after the first 10 minutes, I don't think anyone did anything wrong. Like some of the performances were like unbelievably good, like as a team, but also there were some individual performances, and there were still some really good individual performances in the second half. It's just the team effort let the whole thing down. And I don't even know if we can blame some of the injuries that happened in the first half, because they happened in the first half and we were still flying. Like obviously some of them are disappointing. I mean, poor Sam Graham. I mean, Jesus, the luck of that man. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
who's now going to have to miss at least one game, going through the protocols and stuff, and losing Big Trev and some others um, I've just completely blanked on who the hooker was, but losing the
Right,
hooker as well.
Wellington.
Right, that's it.
it's
Yeah,
2 minutes.
and then Walker, who wasn't expecting to have to come on for that long, having to come on for that long, and it was just. But we seemed to weather that quite well in the first half, and you'd think that. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain because we're not them, and we're not in like their, the locker room at the end of the game where they're trying to figure out what on earth happened. But they've got to get a handle on it at some point, because,
Yeah.
like I said, we're lucky that we drew in the end. Like if it wasn't for a forward pass, we'd have lost. That.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
Yeah.
just glad we are recording this later, actually, because I was livid. I was proper angry. Like if we'd done it when we usually do it, you might have got a few bleeps on this one. But it's just basic rugby, and Charles played it as well. At half time, you go out, it's 0-0. You go out, you win the half again. You don't go in going, oh, we're 25, 26 points ahead. We've won this. It was, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure Dawson's not happy. I'm sure he used the old Fergie hairdryer on him. And we hope we get a better performance at Gloucester. But like you say, there's probably a few lads out because of concussions and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Poor old Sam Graham.
It's not even just that like they score lots of points. We didn't score anything.
No.
We literally did nothing. Like we did not a single thing. And some of the talent that we had, like Hendy and Tadaro, had a ridiculous first 40 minutes. Like they were both just on it from moment
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
But then, of course, I don't even think that's their responsibility in that second half, because we just weren't doing anything with the ball. We weren't getting anybody the ball. We barely even had it. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely some positives, right? Like if they can put an 80-minute performance together with some of the people in our team and the talent that we've got, I think we'll be able to rival anyone. But it's just that question mark of if we can, because I think there was, like I said, the sort of from after 10 minutes, because we were a little bit slow getting into it, but for like the 30 minutes of that first half, like, I mean, they couldn't really touch us.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, we put the beginning, that first try was entirely our own fault. We
Yeah.
kicked the ball out. The first touch we kick the ball out in the full, and then we're under pressure. But to be honest with you, Chiefs weren't offering anything. There were one out drives. Barely did the ball go past two passes. We were just absorbing that very easily. There were the whole game. I sort of that was the point I was making earlier in terms of we gave them their points, because Chiefs were really bad. Like they did nothing in attack. They sort of did a lot of counter attacking from our mistakes, but nothing of creating their own ball. They one out drives going nowhere, very lateral. But we made the mistake in terms of opening the door to let them in, right? So that first phase, like, yeah, we made an error, but they didn't do anything. Then from that point on, for the next 40 minutes, like you said, we were absolutely sublime, and there's so many positives. I mean, Hendy, like he was unplayable.
Yeah.
He was cutting lines, shugging men off. There's one, I can't think who it was for one of the tries. It might be the Todaro try. He took the ball going backwards because it'd been sort of like lofted over someone. He took it back, going backwards, turned around, squared up, pushed a man off, made a break, passed the ball. And also, I would also point out, we cannot complain remotely about the referee. I know that you reckon the first forward pass wasn't a forward pass. I mean, we got so many decisions that were. Look at the actions of George Hendy for the Tom Pearson try, right? I've never seen a player go off their feet more blatantly than that. He went belly first, like, to retain the ball.
You say that.
Like,
you say don't blame the ref, but you can't tell me. Sam Graham was knocked out, and he went back for the penalty in front of the post, said nothing there, we'll move on. TMO went, oh, you need to review that. It was right in front of him. It was
Yeah,
head on head.
I
And he
get
went,
that.
"Oh,
They got the
nothing in
right.
that.
They got
Move
to the
on."
right. They got to the right
Yeah, I think
outcome on that
it's
one,
one of
didn't
those
they?
where
Come
like
on.
it's like
They got the right outcome.
that's what is every possibility he didn't see it, that he wasn't in the right place. Like, a player gets in the way. Like, it's pretty easy. But like I said, they've got the cameras to fall back on, and it was obvious. I mean, it was obvious he was unconscious. So I mean, he was out immediately, right? So they were always going to kind of have a look at it, and I think they reached the right decision as well with the 20-minute red.
Yeah,
And it was like,
yeah.
and also like I said, Josh Hodge is not. He's never ever been a player like that. It was just an accident in the
Yeah.
moment. Like, sometimes you get players where you're like, you've got to stop tackling like this, and he's not one of them. It was just a mistake.
He's had
But the right,
one
you know,
yellow card in his career to that
yeah,
point.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
He's been given a 3-match ban, hasn't
And
he?
he's got a
For that?
3-match ban, yeah.
Yeah. Everything right. Like the right. That's completely the right outcome.
Yeah.
Yes, the ref might have missed it, but they went to the TMO. The right decision was made.
Yeah.
The ban's correct.
Yeah.
There's enough. That's sort of a rare example of everything working correctly.
Yeah. But yeah, I also felt like I don't know if it's because I can't remember if his name was on the injury list or not from the thing on the media day on Tuesday, but we took Manny off, didn't we, at half time? And the scrum was significantly weaker. I mean, it kind of dominated in that first half. And even after we'd lost the hooker and Trev, we'd lost everyone at this point. And he came off at half time. He was back out warming up like with the team in the second half. So I don't know if it was tactical or what, but there was a significant difference. So I wonder if So I wonder what that reasoning was. I don't know if it was they wanted a front row that maybe played together in that particular three pairing. Three group. I don't know. But we definitely weren't as dominant in the second half. But yeah, there was some really good. I feel like we want to focus too much on the negatives, but like I said, there was. I mean, George Hendy did everything but get me the try I wanted him to get me, obviously. But I was like, you can get away with it because it was a ridiculous. That was such an insanely high level first 40. And yeah, and the same, I think Ram as well. Ram had a fantastic first 40. I actually really liked that Tony Bellew was going for the short kickoffs because every single time Ram got to it and slapped it back onto our side. I think there was only one time it bounced into one of their hands, but otherwise, we were able to really compete for that and get some good ground. And you see that backwards pass that he flung out to set up the other two was gorgeous. It was like ridiculous because we're trying to figure it out because obviously the sun was right on the screen that we look at. We're like, who is that? And eventually managed to figure out it was Ram, and that was for either the first or second Tadaro try. I can't remember which order he got them in. And I was like, that is absolutely lovely. And I think just solidified kind of like everything, personified everything that we had done right in that first half. And yeah, it's just such a shame about, like I said, you come out of it, it's not a loss. Like 3 points is not absolutely horrendous.
No, not at all.
Yeah, we got to pick it up because Gloucester's not an easy place. Definitely not an easy place to go and get the win. And we really don't want to be starting off another season on the back foot repeatedly because that's kind of what our demise was last year. That we started off sort of so slow in the tournament and not getting enough wins that we just couldn't get back into it really.
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely positives. I mean, I thought some Dingwall's touches were sublime as well. Like the one to set the break up, which led to the Pearson try, where he just tapped it onto Hendy, and then the same for the Litchfield break. But I mean, I would also say like that's how bad Exeter was. It was a single tip on, and Litchfield just ran through half the pitch. Like it shouldn't be that easy, but it's still a sublime. Sorry. Keep saying sublime, but it's still an incredible bit of skill from Dingers.
Yeah, well, like we said, we didn't have to worry about him. Remember, we were like, "Oh, he hasn't had any pre-season. He's the man," and we said that, so we knew he'd get picked. I don't know about Ferbs though. What's up with Ferbs? Does anyone know? I didn't.
I think they're just being really careful with his comeback from calf injury. Yeah.
But yeah, that pass.
That's not even the arm now. It's the
That flick on was absolute. I can't even say the word I want to say on here. It was just really, really just. I was like, oh, it was just so sweet.
I don't think we have to doubt like the skill level. I don't think I've ever doubted like the skill level or the ability with ball in hand. It was just we just seemed to make the decision in the second half that as soon as they started coming back at us, it was like, oh, we need to kick and put them on the back foot. So it's not working. Like, we need to. So it's just more time go by and we haven't scored any points in that second half. It's like we need to try something different. And it was only right in the last few minutes where we finally decided to run with the ball and then we drop it at the end.
Yep. We went
Yeah,
back to the old Saints, didn't we? Back a couple of years ago, where we didn't have a clue. We just box kick it, and you could hear the crowd. The crowd were groaning, and you just thought, because you
Yeah, I
knew they were
felt
going to get back in it.
I sort of felt bad for McParland because, like I said, it's a learning experience for him. But every single time he kicked the ball, there were boos. Not from me because I don't agree with. I think it's such a nasty thing to do. But yeah, lots of. But I'm like, when the crowd kind of knows that you shouldn't be doing this, like, how do they not? You know what I mean? Like sometimes you just think. But I suppose they're in the moment and they're trying to, But yeah, I think the tactics just weren't. Once we started getting on the back foot a bit, the tactics just were all wrong.
yeah.
I think the substitutions. I think the substitutions didn't work either.
No,
Like,
normally they
we
give
brought them on.
normally they give you a bit of something, but it didn't feel like that this
No,
time.
it went
That's what.
backwards.
Yeah, that's what they're definitely trying. They're trying to like bring a bit of impetus back in. You
Yeah,
definitely felt when Jay came on that was a substitution to try and change the story. I mean, and the decisions around the kicking and everything. It's like it's not necessarily the worst decision to try and get a territory game going. The problem is that it had to be executed better. You have to really keep it close to the touch line and get a really good chase behind it so you can work your way up the pitch. The problem is you're kicking not strong enough to an electric back three that just suddenly puts you on the back foot for you because you're sort of trying to capture them and they're pulling you apart. Um, it's sort of one of those ones where when we saw Johnny Wyman, I think in the last game of the season last year, some of his kicking was outrageously good. So you sort of think, I know we haven't seen a lot of him pre-season. Maybe he's not. They don't want to throw him in, but you sort of think maybe that was more of his skill set. And if that's the way they're going, maybe time to fresh legs, fresh ideas.
yeah.
But I guess they're just one of those combos. But like you said, as soon as we started challenging them, moving the ball to space, we walked up the pitch. And if we'd done that a few more times, kept the ball a bit more, we probably would have won the game. But it's about having that feeling on the pitch and not expect that to come from the halves, which it didn't,
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know there was one. I know you can't say it's if so whatever if happened, but when the Graham thing happened and we moved the penalty, do you not think we should have took the penalty by the post and just to kick the free?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
just to score
100%.
some points.
That was just that to me was like an obvious decision where it was wrong. Like,
because you just think kick that, and I know the point. It might not have like worked out like that, but then you won the game. But we may not have had the same scoring, but it just seemed a bit silly that we moved over there and then went for a line out when our line out wasn't the best.
And it was also more just like you think about the pressure at that point, like up to that situation with Graham and then the penalty and the card, like we hadn't had any of the momentum. And so I was like, it's clearly obvious to me that you kick some points, you get some points on the board and you deflate them a little bit. And I'm assuming they were trying to do that with the try, but we didn't get one. And when you've got 3 points right in front, it was just, and I'm, yeah, and I'm just, I can't remember if Dingus was still on at that point, and who was captain, who had made the call. But I mean, obviously, we always say that in hindsight, but even I felt at the time, I was like, you're right in front. We're sort of losing the second half battle at this point. What are you doing?
Did the ref give you the option though? I didn't have my ref link, so I don't know if you just moved over to Graham and gave the penalty there instead of in front of the post.
No, I think we had two to choose from, and so.
Okay.
Because we already had a penalty. I believe we had a penalty advantage before that happened.
Yeah, we
so
did.
It was, and so it was the Graham one right in the corner, or the one. And so I'm assuming because if they were moving over there, I was like, oh, they're going to go for 3. That's what I assumed was happening. Because otherwise, you choose the one right by the corner, surely, if you were just going to kick it out. But so I thought, they're going to go for 3, but they didn't. And so I was like, what's happening? And I don't know if there was, I couldn't really tell. So I don't know if maybe there was disagreement of like somebody wanted to go for something, but maybe someone convinced them not to. I don't really know. But yeah, that just felt like an obvious thing of like just stretching because we were still in the lead at that point, just stretching it a little bit and taking just a little bit of momentum away from Exeter so that they've been working hard to get back in it, but now they've got to work even harder because we've just extended slightly. It just felt like a really obvious call to me. Maybe they were still confident at that time, but I don't know why they were.
It's one of those ones, isn't it? Like in hindsight, it's an obvious no-brainer, don't get me wrong, and I think I agree at the time. It's sort of you're in that position whereby you've been on the back foot for quite a period of time and you want to strike something back. You want to put something else back on them. And sometimes it's a case of steadying the ship. Let's take the 3, restart, go again. And I think that's the sort of conservative approach. The sort of let's just steady this down and be a bit. We're winning. Let's be calm. Whereas there's this temptation to go, well, we've got JJ on. We've got some big forwards. We've had a really successful mauling game in the Sarries game and in pre-season. We stick it in the corner, we maul over. It's a bit of a right, we're back in control. The crowd get behind us. It's like they've gambled, haven't they? They've sort of gone for
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
the, the, the big outcome to really take control when maybe just a wiser head would have gone, now let's just take the 3, get the ball back, start again. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, you got to back them as to what they're feeling, and they've built a bit of momentum back into it. But yeah, it's easy, isn't it? Night on the sidelines.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It is. Yeah, yeah. It was. I mean, there's definitely, if we're only going to go up from there, that's a good, you still think overall there's some bits in that performance that you can easily work on. I just worry that it's going to be another season of, because our away form last year was dire in the Prem.
Yeah.
And that was kind of obviously, like, we lost a couple of home games as well that we won't talk about again. But the away form was really, really bad. And I just worry going straight to Gloucester after kind of drawing a game that you should have won. Just kind of wonder where they're sort of at mentally. And then obviously I've got no idea who is or isn't going to be out for that game as well, who might be back in contention. Some obvious people that are obviously going to be out of contention. So
Yeah, I would say from the first round of games, we should probably, and also missing a lot of players, but we probably showed a level of rugby maybe above the rest of the team showed over the first weekend. I think our performance for a 20-minute spell in that first half was probably the best rugby played across the first round, right? And if you think you've got players to come back into that team, and hopefully the only way is up, and we won't play for 20 minutes in a game. We'll play it for 60 to 80 minutes in a game. That we probably are quite well placed to go all right this year if we can fix some of these issues and keep that standard high. But like you said, so not great away from home at all last year. We also lost at home to Gloucester last year, but they're our opponents this week. Down at Kingston Park, even Kingsholm, with artificial pitch as well to play into. It'll be a fast track. What do we think about that fixture?
Yeah. The bear pit. The old shed. Well, yeah, it could be anything. I always love a Gloucester game. It's always
I'm trying to think what happened. Oh yeah, they were the first game of the season, weren't they, on the Thursday? They lost to Sale.
Gloucester have had a long break. They should be well rested for this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's all about where we're going to be. So I'm just reading the Cron and Echo. So Thurbs is going to be out for another few weeks, which I think was kind of expected, to be fair. It's all about the sort of like the team that we can put out at the level they play. I don't love that we seem to be super unlucky with injuries, and then we have to go to a plastic pitch because they're never exactly the greatest situations when that happens. But yeah, I don't know how to think about it really. Like, it's hard to put that much stock in kind of them losing away to Sale, because Sale are quite a strong team, particularly at home. So I don't really read anything, and it's not like they got absolutely hammered, so I don't read anything into that necessarily. So yeah, no idea what they're going to be like at home, to be fair. It's difficult when it's a new season, because normally we could get a few months in and we have a bit more confidence about where teams are, but it still feels like the teams themselves as well are sort of learning where they are and what's going on. And most teams have had some changes in and around, and so it's kind of difficult to know what's going to happen. But yeah, I don't know if I'm super confident enough to say that we will definitely win. It's going to be hard, definitely.
It all depends, I suppose, who's fit, because I'm guessing none of the lads went back on after the HIAs, did they? So they've got
they will have failed.
7 days.
Yeah, I
it
think
all
it
depends
did.
on
I think it did. Hold on, here we go.
It all depends on the return protocols. I mean, to be fair, Gloucester have got some okay, exciting players. They've got a few hard-working lumps in the forwards and some pretty exciting backs. I don't think Gloucester are going to be a a real contender at all this season. I think of all the away games you look at, ignoring Newcastle, Gloucester is one we should be targeting to try and win. Um, uh, it's very difficult to win away in the Premiership, and like you say, going up to Sale, I mean, Sale seem to draw a home game every year, don't they? First game of the season, they always seem to be on the getting 5 points to get from the get go because they get someone at home, and no one wants to go to Sale for the first game of the year, which we had to do twice, I think. But
I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's because nobody wants a Thursday night game. To be honest, that's probably why. It works
it's
for them because it doesn't clash with the football, does it?
Yeah, but either way, I think looking at Gloucester's team, Williams is a very good player. We've got a new 10 in Ross Byrne, who's he's an experienced operator. However, he's an experienced operator behind a lens to dominant pack. Like, so
Yeah.
he's got a lot to learn playing behind a Gloucester pack, that's for sure. And you look through the side, there's a few nice, good players, but there's nothing there in my view that we shouldn't be aiming to go to Kingsholm and come back with a good win. The only thing that's stopping you is an away fixture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just having a look at the report after it looks like we will be without Wright, Davison and Graham. So yeah, it does get a bit harder.
We had like pros and cons. We're talking negatives about the game, but no one mentioned Chick. He had an absolute stormer, didn't he?
He was really good,
On his first game.
Yeah.
So
22 carries.
Yeah.
yeah.
And had to come back on.
Yeah, exactly.
So probably just sat
Literally
down,
within
ready
minutes.
to put his feet up, and then off he comes on, and he's got to come back. But yeah, he was really good. I felt like Scott Young left it all out there, including lots of his blood that he had to go off and get that all sorted, didn't he, to come back on. I said we can put 80 minutes of something similar to what we did in the first sort of half of the Exeter game. We should be golden because, like I said, there's nothing. And this isn't like any kind of diss on Gloucester because I think they're pretty decent as a pack together, but I don't know how many kind of standouts they've really got or kind of standout players or kind of particular ways of doing anything that really stands out. So yeah, there's a way that we certainly it's possible we can go and kind of stamp our authority on that. But it said it's all going to be about like injuries plus away fixture plus kind of like the psychological mental side of doing an 80-minute job. And it's how that all comes together. And we'll just have to wait and see, really, won't we?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing to be scared about them is that Fassobon, the tight end they've got.
Yeah.
If he starts going
great.
well, in at scrum time and the shed
Yeah.
gets behind him, it becomes a pretty difficult place to be a loose head prop. So I'm guessing we're thinking Manny will start at loose head again.
He's
But
not
that's two of
he's
the
not-
best young props in the league up against each other. That's
Yeah.
a great thing to see. It's a great spectacle.
He's not listed he's not on here as potentially as being not available. And like I said, he was back out with the team in the second half, like doing warm-ups with them. So I'm assuming it was tactical.
Yeah,
Although
I
I'm
think
not
just easing his load back into the season.
Yeah, very possibly. But like you said,
tactical,
I felt like it did drop off. So I feel like that's got to be. And when you're not going to have Trev on the other side, like you have to have him. I think I really don't think there's much. And then it depends where Robbie Smith is, doesn't it? Because I'm going to assume that Henry Walker's all we have at the moment to start.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be Henry and Robbie. I think we might have had an Italian in on trial. Macaron, the guy from Zebra, isn't he?
Right.
I think so. Maybe they were obviously going to add a number to that the squad. I mean, there's a certain Cornish Fijian who's still playing down in I thought they might give him a ring, but
down in Camborne, yeah.
Camborne, yeah. You'd think they might he's only just finished. You'd think they might get him in the loop because he knows what we do, etc. But no, I understand that they've got I can't think of his name. The Italian from Zebra who's got a few caps. So they're obviously looking at him. But it'd be good to see Robbie Smith back if we can get a good performance. He obviously turned out for Bedford, so he's got some minutes under him.
Yeah. I'm assuming that they're not going to just start him. I wouldn't have thought so. I'm guessing it would be Walker to start just because he's got the minutes under his belt at this point, and that's what we need at the moment. But yeah, the list is still I think out of all the people that are still on the list, it looks like Lockett's the closest to returning, but not definite for this week. So we still don't have like Chunyamunga, for example, as a second row alternative. So you think a second row option. So I still feel like we're quite limited there. And so outside of the kind of injuries, I can't imagine there's going to be a huge amount of change.
No, I imagine, think so the other team was what it was. I imagine it'll be
Yeah.
pretty similar. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, Walker will probably start ahead of Wright. Miller Mills will probably start ahead of Big Trev, obviously going off injured. And it is a shame because the first half or first 20 minutes, the scrum was going so well
It
with
was so
Mandy and
good.
Big Trev. We
Yeah,
looked
it
like
was.
absolutely dominant. And that Chiefs pack is big. So to get the
Yep.
upper hand at scrum time is really good. And it might be the fact that, 60 minutes is a long time for Tired Prop to run around, and he started Killer might have started to sort of struggle a bit, but and it might be the fact that we see Cleopas come into the squad for his debut off the bench maybe, but otherwise I think there isn't going to be a lot of change in the starting 15 at all. And
I mean, I think backs wise, like maybe not counting the second half, like with 9 and 10, but otherwise, like 9 to 15 went really well in that first half. I mean, Tadaro's looks like he's going to be something else. Like, keep hold of him for as long as you can, because that's ridiculous. But yeah, assuming that like Hendy's going to play how he did, Ram, Tadaro, Dingers, like it's going to be, it's still a really strong squad.
yeah, no, I'm not expecting much change.
No, I mean, yeah,
I
you've got to
think
figure.
they're going to drip. This is going to be the squad that's got to get us through a majority of the season.
Yeah.
And if this squad goes well, we'll do all right. Then you drop in the internationals, sort of drip feed them, make sure that they play the big moments and they impact the season as going along. But you're not going to get 30 games out of Finn or Mitchell or Pollock or Freemo. So you just got to. This squad has got to play a lot of the games, and I think there's got good hope and go well.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
think of the players that aren't playing as well, Kemeny.
yeah,
exactly. He's a massive loss, that boy, especially in the line out. That was what I thought we lacked, because we had a lot of weight. There wasn't, other than Colsey and obviously Pearson, but there wasn't a lot of like options to lift people, because you ain't lifting JJ, are you? To be fair. And it just seemed to be awful. Like the line out just didn't see. That's one of our strengths, and it just seemed a bit poor.
Yeah, well, it's good to have Coles in there, but like the team that went to Saracens, it was like watching a French pack, where the second rows aren't remotely there to be lifted; they're just there to push and be heavy, and then you lift the back row. It was very much like that for the Saracens game, but with Coles and Scott Young, Pearson, and Chick, I think you've got four good options. So I think they'll get better, but yeah, I don't see an issue or concern there. I think the biggest issue was Wright went off after 3 minutes, and that probably that changes things slightly as well.
Yeah.
You got to remember, I didn't make a note of him. Pearson, he had an absolute blinder as well. He was everywhere.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah, that's why I'm assuming that your like 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 from last week will be the same.
I would say so.
As far as I'm aware, none of them were injured. And like you said, Kemeny is on the unavailable list, so he isn't coming in. So I can't see how it's any different from like Coles and Prowse, and then Scott Young, Pearson, Chick, and they went really well, overall. And then like you said, 9 and 10 also kind of picks itself at the moment with who we don't have available. And then I don't see how 12 to 15 doesn't pick itself just from how well they did last week.
Yeah, the only thing you could. Yeah, exactly. It's like it's a balance thing, I suppose, because Litchfield played really well and like finished his try really well, and he adds a different dimension to the rest of the back line. He's a big boy, but you've got that option of Hutchinson, who's brings something different. So I suppose they've got like a style decision to make.
Yeah, I wonder if
what they want from those.
I wonder if though that whilst we don't have Finn available, that Hutch will continue being a bench option because he's also a 10 replacement if it's necessary. I think that just is going to prevent him from getting a starting spot, because if you have Bello starting and Hutch starting and something happens to both of them, you're in a bit of a tough situation. So I wonder if that's what's going to keep him on the bench potentially for this week, just that they he is, because normally it would be Ferbs, right, who is not going to be back for a few weeks at least. And so Hutch is the second 10 option that you have right now.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Yeah, he is our backup playmaker. I think
Yeah.
I've said it, and I don't really like saying it, but it's probably true to some extent, in the sense that Hutchinson is probably one of the best 23s in the world. You know, a player who plays it. If you think on the bench, the versatility, the skills he brings, the impact he can make in a game, like he's absolutely amazing to have as 23,
Yeah.
because of what he can come on, he can change the game, he can fill any
Yeah.
gaps, and it also means you can open up one of the bench options to potentially go with like a 6-2 split rather than
Yeah.
because he can cover so many roles. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't.
I do think he can push for. I think when you've got Finn and you've got Bello, he could easily push for a starting shirt, right? Because of how good he is and how well he's been playing. Definitely. I just think this week in particular, he's going to have to be used as a 10 cover position because it is literally all that we have. And so I think it's not even anything about him. It's literally just what does the team need right now. And he's always struck me as someone who's very much a team player. You know, he hypes everyone up. He's very much I will play the role that I need to. But he also just happens to be, I mean, his passing game I still think is second to none in the Prem. And you think about
Yeah,
some of the people we have in our own team and how well they can pass. Like for me to say that Hutchison is a step above them, like I mean his passing is unreal. And I think he definitely would be pushing like Litchfield potentially for like a starting centre position. It's just I don't think that they have the freedom to use him that way until we get Finn Smith back.
yeah, and he'll play plenty of games. He'll start plenty of games. Across the course of
Yeah.
a season. We've got Dingwall, Litchfield, Hutchinson, and probably Freeman as our four centre options,
Yeah.
and all Dingwall won't be available with England. We'll have to look after him because of
Yeah.
England. I mean, Freeman's
Freeman,
played
yeah.
plenty of games, so we'll have to look after him. So Hutchinson and Litchfield are going to play lots of rugby. It's just
Yeah, exactly.
when you think about like if you were picking a Champions Cup final team tomorrow, everyone available, Hutchinson's probably outrageously going to play 23, and it just shows you the depth and quality that we've got. I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, and I agree with the back three. I mean, Pearson was class, wasn't he? Like the man how hard he can carry. He's a big bloke, but he punches well above his weight.
Exactly that, yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Just where is Bellew cover 15 or is it centre?
I think he covers more 12 and 10, but he has played at 15. I think. Yeah, he's quite short to be at 15, isn't he?
So you could play him at 12 as well if you needed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be interesting when
Finn,
things available. Yeah, if they do that.
Yeah. What happens with? Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that back three in particular, Ram, Hendy, and Tadara. I'm so looking forward to seeing them go again. Like unbelievably excited, which is really crazy to say when you think of who is missing from the back three, right? Assuming that like Fremo's going to get in there, Ferbs is going to get in there. Like to have Ram, Hendy, and Tadaro and be like insanely excited, but also know who's left to come back. We're in such a crazy good position in terms of like talent that we have and ability.
Rob Baxter said that, didn't he, in his interview? I don't know if you heard it. I read it in the paper that he said literally. He said we're happy with the draw, but they had so many world class players missing. And it's true. You put those 4 or 5 in, and we would have absolutely annihilated because they'd have been on the bench as well. You would have, we would have put that game to bed. It's just annoying. It's just annoying.
Yeah, you think of probably our first choice back three last season was Slyton, Furbank, and Freeman.
Yeah.
Like so the fact that we've got Ram, Tadaro, and Hendy, like Tadaro and Hendy are just serious prospects. There's no doubt about that. I mean, Tadaro reminds me a lot of Slytone. Style, stocky, small, speedy.
Yeah. And then Hendy's just his unique. I don't even unique. I'm just gonna stick it unique. Like
he looked like a man playing against children at points in that first half.
Yeah, I remember when he came out. So he came out and he was like on the screen and he was just like smiling and he looked so pumped. And I was like, oh, this is like a man possessed. He's like so ready to get back out there.
He will play for England. I guarantee it. I have no doubt in the world that Hendy's an international in the making. Yeah. Like he made things look too easy. And, like that. I said that one when he set up Taldaro, where he took the ball over his head, going backwards, turned up, squared up a man, boshed him off, ran through, gave the ball to Taldaro, He's a
I mean, it was
freak of an
great,
athlete.
great. I bet Tadara was loving it because he got two insane pieces of skill to set both of his up. So they
Yeah,
said Hendy taking the ball, the ram pass out the back of his hands like that when he's about to get absolutely demolished in a tackle. And he's like, I've got to get it away, and for that to end in his hands. And also you just did it, yeah. It's crazy. So he must be loving that as well, like getting those kinds of balls and just getting set up when you know in some other teams you wouldn't get setups like that. Like you know you wouldn't get
yeah,
passes, you wouldn't get passes like that. So I bet that's just really exciting for some of the young guys, and I include Hendy in that as well because he's 22. So you think about where his career has left to go. And I think the same for some of the Saints players as well. You think about even people like Freeman, for example, who hasn't technically hit like what most people would consider like the natural peak of his career, and he already plays how he does. Like we've got a really good kind of future ahead of us in the next few years in terms of where some of these players can go.
Got to keep them all though. That's the problem.
got to and play them. Got to get them
And
on the
play
pitch.
them,
Money
yeah.
talks, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, there's rumours that Finn signed a long-term deal, and if that's a rumour and that's true, that's amazing.
That was literally
I'll go dance in the street if that happens.
That was literally the next thing I was about to say. I did hear a rumor he signed a 3-year contract.
That would be great.
So was who was it? There was two of them.
Furbank.
Furbank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Furbank.
I think I don't know how many players I can say this about, but sometimes I feel like with Furbank that he's one of those that I'd be surprised if he left.
One club man, yeah.
Yeah. I think, and also when they've got England knocking on the door, I don't think they have that desire to.
No, there's
to
no
go
real.
and play elsewhere.
There's no real incentive, is there? It's not like, oh, I need to go to a quote unquote better club or different club because I want to push for England. Like they're doing it now and they're going to continue to do it, aren't they? So there's no kind of incentive. You think about someone like Callum Chick, for example, who what is he, late 20s? So he still has a chance, mid to late 20s. So leaving Newcastle to come to not just us but any other team would have been a move that made sense, right, for his career trajectory.
Well, yeah, you say that, but then you've got the Red Bull money now, haven't you? That's the problem. There was
but
they wanted Finn.
That doesn't necessarily. I think a lot of people. I think they wanted a lot of people, to be fair. But the difficulty that Newcastle will have is that it's all so brand new. How many kind of top players are going to move there straight away? Like maybe in a couple of years, but like you saw, what happened in that first game. Like bringing in all these excellent people doesn't equally automatically mean you're going to be amazing right from the start. And they've just got rid of Diamond, so they're still going through quite a bit of transition that I don't know how attractive it is for top players just yet.
Well, that's the thing. The initial players will go there. The drive will be the excitement of the project, etc. Yeah, blah blah blah. But it will also be because they'll be paying above the average, right?
Yeah.
Because they've got the room and they need to bring in those big names. Whereas we're in a position now where won the league 2 years ago, Champions Cup final last year. We are competing at the upper echelons of the European game at the moment, and so players want to come to us to play for us because it sets them up better.
Yeah,
like Callum Chick's a great example of. He probably for his career, he probably loves Newcastle Falcon or Newcastle, whatever, wanted to play for them for his whole career, etc. But has now decided to move away. If he had moved at 25 to one of the big clubs, he'd probably have quite a few more England caps, because you do need to be playing at the bigger clubs to get that, because if you play in a better team you play better. How many players, I'll probably get slagged off for saying this, but how many players who played for Saracens weren't as good as their reputation was, but because they were playing around internationals? Like you see the impact that Will Skelton has had on the Wallabies recently, right? He is unreal. So if you're, Jamie George and you've got Will Skelton next to you, your pedigree goes up tenfold because you look a 10-time better player because the team's on the front foot and everything's easy and you're smashing teams and you look your skill, you can bring your skill out because the pressure's off because you're so good. So having all those better players around you brings the standard up, gives you recognition at international level, and that's why we need to stay at the top to attract these players, because they all love Northampton, don't get me wrong, but if we start dropping down, they'll be thinking about what do I need to get in England teams.
Literally everybody, even Henry was linked with them, and everyone's like, did you all just miss that he literally just signed a long-term? Everybody was linked with them at some point. Like that could be, but hopefully that is true about Finn, and they can announce that soon, because that would be fantastic.
I would have thought they'd announced it already. If it's been
Yeah.
leaked, it was what's his name in the Fizzler, isn't it? Whatever his name was. He used to work for the rugby paper.
Yeah, Neil Fissler.
He
Yeah.
he literally whatever he posts is normally true. So fingers crossed, because we don't want to be losing that boy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what about predictions?
Ooh.
Yeah, so last week was pretty much dead heat because none of our players scored and
It's madness.
none of us picked a draw. Because
Uh,
none of us picked a draw. So we've had 2 dead heats in a row essentially. So right, who's going to go first this week?
it was
Did you
me
go
last
first
time,
time?
so I should go last this time.
Right, I'll go. I'm not sure because I don't know the team, but I think they'll come back. I'll go 26-31 to Saints. And I'll go till I can't say his name till the Italian stallion.
Todaro.
The
Eduardo.
Italian stallion.
Yeah, we'll call him that.
I think it'll be a high-scoring game. I think defenses are still pretty loose at the start of the season, and I think from the first round there were a lot of high scores. So I'm going to go with a Saints win, and I think we'll win well. But I'm going to go 21-32. And I will go with Hendy because I wanted him last week and just nicked him. He is unreal.
Okay. I'm gonna go. Screw it. I'm just gonna go big. Let's go. 42. No, 42 last because we're the away team. So I'll go 30-42. Who do I pick to score? I'm gonna go for. Trying to think of who's gonna be in the team again. Can't remember who everyone is. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go for Tom Pearson. I'm gonna go
Pearson,
for
yeah. He does score a few, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's always in and around.
Yeah. Well, he looked good at the weekend, and so if he carries that on, who knows? Anyway, thanks everyone for listening. It's been another good chat, everyone. We will be back next week, a bit earlier as per normal. But yeah, thanks for listening. I've been Charles, Jess has been Jess, Simon's been Simon. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.